Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, where loads is going on as always. As well as all of our apps and Patreon, which you can find on the link under the video, and also our merchandise and Sven's SUDOKU PAD. We are getting to the point where the deluxe edition of the Fog of War book is coming out, and one of the constructors of that is, one of the constructors of the extra puzzles in the deluxe edition is Math Pesto, renowned for hard puzzles and a very interesting constructor always. We will have a look at their puzzle called Red Lodge, Montana in a moment, which Simon has suggested I do, which is a surprise because it's one of these kind of difficult looking hybrids between a pencil puzzle type and a Sudoku type. And I think the pencil puzzle type is called Creek. And that might be a clue to Red Lodge, Montana as a title where, I mean, I tried to look it up. It's a very small city, notable for some creeks, basically. So something like that. Anyway, I'm looking forward to grappling with what Math Pesto has for us today. But do check out those links that I mentioned. And I think once the deluxe edition comes out, then there will be a chance to order the Fog of War book if you didn't get in the pledge at not much more as far as I understand it. I don't know. We will see. Do check the links under the video in case I've been able to put it in there. And I think there'll be a chance to order the CTC Greatest Hits Book 2, which has been landing on all the pledge people's doorsteps lately. So check it all out. But let's have a look at the rules of Red Lodge, Montana. Wow, okay, so we start with not normal Sudoku rules, but only in that we're using the digits 0 to 8 this time in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Instead of 1 to 9, we're using 0 to 8. A digit in a circle must appear at least once in one of the 4 surrounding cells. That's the normal quadruple rule. It's not the normal quadruple rule. That digit also equals the number of surrounding cells that are shaded. A question mark represents the same number for both clues within a circle, i.e. that digit appears and that many circles are shaded. So if we had a 3 here, 3 of these would be shaded and there would be a 3 in the group, if we determine that a question mark is a 3. The value of question mark may differ between circles. I think there's only, there are 3 of them. I was going to say only 2. Unshaded cells in the grid. Right, unshaded cells must be orthogonally connected. So the unshaded cells form a big connected group. And unshaded cells that are orthogonally adjacent must have digits that differ by at least 5. So they're kind of German whispery. That's really weird. Okay, all of the positive attributes to me, in my head, apply to the unshaded cells. So I think what we're going to do is colour cells, green and grey? Grey for shaded and green for German whisper. Yeah, that's okay. That's what I'm going to go for. Give it a try anyway yourself on the link under the video. You don't have to follow my colour scheme. Goodness knows how it's going to play out. You can check the video length. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. So, I mean, this is one of those puzzles where you could be looking at this board for a long time, not knowing what to do. The German whisper thing is very odd because when you're using the digits 0 to 8, everything's down 1 from normal. So the digit that can't go on a German whisper line or in a German whisper cell here is a 4. And 3 and 5 are the monogamous digits now that have only one possible neighbour. And that's just weird because, well, I don't like it. I'm used to solving normal German whispers with 1 to 9. There, I said it. Right, we've got some zeros and a 4. Okay, around the 0, let me just read the rules again. That digit equals the number of surrounding cells that are shaded. None of these cells are shaded. They're all green German whisper. All these 4 are shaded. But shaded, I mean, I know nothing about, well, I mean, I know there's a 4 in those. I suppose I know there's a 0 in those. The 0 in those is less useful because it could be in one of 2 boxes. Okay, this cell is shaded because otherwise the shaded cells here would be there and would cut off a green cell, which is not possible. That's true down in this corner as well. Two 3s in the corner, but not in the traditional way. 8, I don't know, that could be shaded or not. 1, right. These 2 are shaded and those 2 are not. Right, I know that because of 3 being the total of those cells and 1 being the total of those. So 3 has to have either those 2 shaded or those 2. If it was those 2, it would break the 1. That would be a liar at that point. So those 2 must be shaded and one of these, at which point these 2 are unshaded. Now we've also got a 2 there, and although I can't immediately remember, it's telling me the number of grey cells. It has to be 2 green and 2 grey. Now, I mean, am I meant to do Sudoku on this as well? Look at where 3s are. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of Sudoku just for fun. It may not be the way to do the puzzle, but there's a 3 in one of those cells, so the 3 around here can't be in those 2. It's in one of those 2. And then the 3 around here is in one of those 2. And then we've got an X-wing. The 2 3s in rows 8 and 9 are used up in those groups, so they're not here. And I get a 3 in the puzzle, my first digit, in less than 3 minutes. I wouldn't have expected that. Then there's a 3 in one of those 2, and a 3 in one of those 2, because of this and this. And then I may have exhausted the... oh, look, I can tell there's a 3 around there, just from where I have 3s in boxes 3 and 7. Didn't need the quadruple clue. Yeah, I don't know that that's going to really get me anywhere. I need to do much more work on the shading, don't I? Okay, we can't have those 3 being the shaded cells, or we would be blocking in that unshaded cell into this corner. So that one is shaded. This one is probably shaded, not shaded. I don't know, there's no evidence that there has to be a green cell up here. There's no count for each box that it has to have a certain number of green and a certain number of grey. That's just not a relevant consideration. Oh, good. Oh, there's a 1 next to a 3 again. So the same trick applies as down here. Grey on the outside of the 3, green on the outside of the 1. Are there any other of those that I need to be looking for? Only if this turns out to be a 1. And I don't know that. Now, what has that done? Right, those 2, in fact, something about this 2. One of these is grey. Okay, that one cannot be grey, because there must be cells shut in on the 2. So that one is green. That's the way out for whatever cell is in here. Now we know the grey's around the 3. And now this one can't be green because that would be grey on the count. So that one's green. This one's grey. Green has to get out. Green is the colour that has to link up. And there we go. We've got something done. Right, this whole area, there can't be any green cells in there because they couldn't get out. They're all grey. Which, you know, it's nice to fill in a lot of colour, but grey is not a helpful colour, whereas green potentially is in terms of finding out numbers. So I've kind of done all of these clues, as long as I make this a domino. That one would get out if it was green through there. That one, though, could get out there or there. We've got 3 greys here. Oh, we've got 3 greys here. We can't have that wall of grey because this green would never get out. So those 2 are grey, and one of these, and it can't be that one. So it's that one. That 3 is determined. Now, this must be green to get the green out, and we've got a 1 there, and I've finished colouring the last 2 columns, columning the last 2 colours, perhaps. Green has to keep getting out all the way to here, at least. Okay, well that's a start on the creek colouring. That's a good start. Now, 3 of these are grey. That's weird a bit. No, I don't know. One of those at least is grey, so this green is going to have to turn up into... Oh, it's got to turn up through there. Because even if that was green, it couldn't turn up through there because that would be 2 greens around a 3 grey. So this path to get out has to turn up at least into that cell. Now, if that was the green, it could escape up here. That 3 has turned out not to be on the path, and so it's not very helpful. It's not on the green whisper stuff. Nor's that one, nor's that one. Well, okay, 3 is monogamous. I don't think that one is a 3. I'd forgotten 3 was monogamous. 3 can only see the digit 8, and if it was there, both of those would be an 8. So 3 is often going to be off the path. Now, if those were both low, I don't know. One of these is low. Is it a 2? I don't know. There's either a 2. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, of course, there's a 2 in one of those cells. So just by Sudoku, there's a 2 in one of those cells. And then by X-Wing technology, there's a 2 in one of those 3. I just hadn't noticed that 2 there meant that these couldn't be a 2. So this pair is a 2 and a 7 or a 2 and an 8. Oh, we need a 1 here. If that, oh, but we can have 0. We're not going to use 3. We're going to use 3 high or low digits in these cells. If they were high, if they were high, that would be 2 and that would be 0. And this would be 7. If these were low, that's going to have to be 2. That's going to have to be 0. So whichever one of these is low is a 0. And if that was 2, that was 0, that would be 1. I don't know the order. There's a 2 here. I'm not getting something here. That's definitely going on. The number round here, okay, it can't be 4 because they're not all grey, or 3 or 2. Of course, there's only 1 grey maximum, so the number round here is 0 or 1. Is that any use? Probably not. Yeah, I don't like these question marks. They're just as vague as all get out. God, grief. It'd be good to know about highness and lowness in the puzzle. The German whisper area, maybe it's a creek area, is all orthogonally connected. All of the, it said that, didn't it? That the unshaded cells in the grid must be orthogonally connected. Yes, and unshaded cells that are orthogonally adjacent must have digits that differ by at least 5. That's very interesting. That means that we can use a kind of bishop's square rule in this puzzle. If that is low, then you can find any other cell in the puzzle by travelling on diagonals, any other cell in the green area, and work out whether it's low or high. That one will have to be low, because every time this steps, it's either horizontal or vertical, and it changes polarity. So if that's low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, let's pretend this is green, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. And basically, all the cells that are diagonally connected are the ones that are low on green, and the other ones are all high on green. So that is a nice technique, but it would help to begin by working out one cell for definite polarity on one cell. I don't know what else to do. There's a low digit there that's probably 0, but it could be 1. Yeah, each pair of cells that are connected have a low and a high in. That feels interesting. It feels of significance. I don't know. What do we do next? So three of these are grey. Can I force this to be green? Well, then we have a whole stretch of green up here. I'm wondering if there's something holistic about that stretch that means that it can't, I don't know. Again, if I was using 1 to 9, I'd know that that stretch had to include 4 digits of one polarity, 3 of the other. The 3 of the other would be the extreme digits. But here it's just harder to read that. I can't really tell. Okay, one of these is green and one is grey. They are a domino. Am I meant to be using numbers or am I meant to be using letters? I wish you would tell me. Wow, I'm struggling to see what to do. Have I missed any rules? No, I mean, there really aren't any other rules apart from the ones that we're looking at all the time. Oh, so if that was a 2, it would have to be surrounded by digits from 6, 7, and 8. And then this would be 0. This would be any high... I mean, now we could have 5 here and a 0 here. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, this is taking a bit of time to get my head around what's going on at all. I mean, it may be that difficult a puzzle, to be honest, or it may be that I'm just not very experienced at this type of solving. I am desperately looking for something I can do to tell you about. I mean, I think I've said this. The low digit in those two cells is 1 or 0, because we're seeing a 3 and a 2. There is a 0 in those two. There is a 1 in these two cells. That's suddenly very obvious just by Sudoku or by quadruple rules. So here there isn't a 1. Oh, and there isn't a 3. So the low digit here is 0 or 2. The low digit here is 0 or 1. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's very telling of something, but it's not telling me anything. If the digit here was a 1, the digit here can't be 1 or 3. It is 0 or 2. They can't both be zeros in both pairs, so either we have 1 there or 2 there. And in both cases, we must put a 1 or a 2 in one of these cells, but which one depends on which digit it is that isn't 0 here. Goodness gracious, what on earth do we conclude? This is a 0 or a 1. If it's a 0, the 0 is in one of the question mark I'm talking about. If it's a 0, the 0 is in one of those cells. And if it's a 1, then what? Then I don't know anything about where that digit goes, basically. My goodness, this is not easy. This is not easy. That 3, I can't use that, I don't think. Maybe this 3. This 3, come on, let's think about that. If those were 3 grey, or, well, one of these is grey. Does that mean green has to get out through here? No, green could go straight out through here. I can't see why that's not the case. Got a little gonzo beak looking down there. Goodness gracious, what do we do? It must be something so obvious to people who do pencil puzzles regularly. If that was a 1, these would have to be the lows, 2 and 0. So if that was a 1, that would definitely be 7. But alternatively, that's a 1. Yeah, I mean, again, the polarity here must be gettable somehow. And that would be huge if I could, well, I suspect it'll be huge. Maybe it won't be yet, but it'll be a deduction that I can use somewhere. Okay, maybe I can find another digit that I can make some deductions about somewhere in the puzzle. The low one here is 0 or 1. There's no way to deduce that that's not 0, is there? I can't see how they can be. 8, maybe the given 8, which can't be in those cells. But I mean, it could appear anywhere on the line or in any of these other cells. I don't see why 8's quite an asset on the line, because it's an extreme digit and can partner any of 0, 1, 2, or 3. Yeah, maybe I should look at the less extreme digits. Of course, this, oh no, I was going to say this can't be a 3. Now, if this was a 2, it would have, if 2 was in either of these cells, it would be with 7 or 8, and that would be a triple. Yeah, that's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing that's going to be interesting. Or being able to put a 3 in green somewhere, or a 5. Because, yeah, 3 in green, 3 in green can't be in any of these cells. That's interesting. That's very interesting. It's true as well. Right, 3 can't be in that cell because it sees 2 in the same box. So does that one. This one, oh no, maybe, could that be a 3? And I've just thought of a situation in which it could. I was going to say it couldn't, because 3 can only link to 8, so that must be an 8. And I was going to say wherever this continued, there or there, also can't be an 8. But this doesn't have to continue. It could be a dead end here. 8 here. No, sorry, 3 here, 8 there. Oh, gosh. That didn't quite get it going. Ugh, curses! Now, we know there's a 3 in one of these cells, but we don't know if it's green. It would have to be next to a green 8 if it was green. Got a 1 in one of those. Oh, come on, Mark. Think of something to do in this puzzle. One, two, three. Somewhere that some digit can't be would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, so for instance, 1 can't be in those cells or those ones. Something a bit like that. But what digit? 2? 2 can't be in any of those, but I mean the pencil marking I've done has ensured that already. Do I have to focus on whether this is a 1 or a 0? If it's a 1, it can't be in that cell. It would, well, it would have to be in one of those 3. It could even be in the grey cell. If it's 0, I don't know. I don't see why, well, it couldn't be in those 2. All right, that would be something. Then there'd be a 0 in one of those. But those are 2 very different if statements. Wow, okay, I'm sorry. This is just a real desperate struggle now. 4. I mean, there is, 4 is never in green. Is that useful? 4 is the digit that cannot be in green because it's like the 5 in a regular whispers puzzle. So, ooh, see, that would be a 4 if those couldn't be. And those couldn't be if there was definitely a 4 in these cells. And there would definitely be a 4 in those cells if there was a definite 4 in any of these cells. So, let us think about 4s and where they must go. Or does the fact that 3 is outside the green line in box 9 mean that 8 is probably outside it as well? It really doesn't. It doesn't mean anything of the kind. So either that's 0 and that's 2, or this goes 0, 1, 2. So if that was 0 and that was 2, this is 7. That has to be 8. So we'd go 7, 2, 8, 0. 5 or 6 down here. But the 7, 2, 8 there would have made this a 1. One of these a 3. That would make that a 3. I mean, there are a lot of ramifications, but I'd almost like it better if I knew that was the case than trying to rule it out. My goodness, what on earth do you do, Math Pesto? I don't know. Is there some very general rule about how green has to connect up? Like, it won't connect up through that row or down here because of the 3. There's some huge thing going on here. Okay, whatever polarity this cell is, it also appears there. Oh no, I was going to say it must appear again here before we get out of the box, but that's not necessarily true. Okay, if that is green, these 4 are all the same. Oh, these 4 are all the same modularity, polarity. I don't even know what I mean by modularity. Do the circles mean that's impossible? No. I mean, I was wondering if the circles meant that if these digits I've highlighted were low, they would have to go 0, then 1, and then a 2, 3 pair, which would be impossible. But I don't think they mean that. Because the 0 here could be there, allowing that to be 0. One of these could be a 1, allowing that to be 1. It just doesn't hold together as a coherent ruling out of anything. I know I'm getting more incoherent as time goes by. That's just because I don't know how to proceed, and I'm getting very frustrated now. So this has to get out, this shape. Are there digits that... There isn't even a digit that can't appear on it. I mean, obviously 3 doesn't, we know that. But even 5, well, 4 can't, because 4 is never in green. Is there any chance I didn't take that thinking far enough? So in this row, 4 has to be in one of those cells because it's not green. No, that's not true because we don't know where the 4 around here is. It doesn't have to be in one of those two at all. Okay, let's go back to thinking about this being a 2, 7, 8 triple. Then this couldn't be a 2. This would be 7 or 8. So if one of those was a 2, that's a 2. This would be probably 1. 1 or 3 it would have to be. Oh, it can't be 3. Right, yes, if this was low, it would have to be 1. So, well, in fact, I couldn't fill in 1, 7 or 8 here. 2 goes next to 7 or 8. Oh, that's interesting. Right, this digit, if it's low, it can't be 0, which is confined there, or 3, which is confined here, or 2, which is confined there. So if it's low, it's a 1. If it's high, it's going next to a 2, so it's 7 or 8. Here, oh no, we don't know that 2 is... 2 could be in one of those cells, in which case it's here. Or it could be in one of these cells, in which case that's a 2, 7, 8 triple, and that is 1. Ooh, no, they're different cases. I thought we were going to find that these were the same polarity, whatever, but that's not the case. I don't know. I cannot see what to do. This cell. Oh. This cell can't be 0 or 3 or 2. If it's low, it has to be 1. That's quite surprising. Then we'd have a 1 in one of those cells and one of those cells. Or maybe there's somewhere else in the puzzle that struggles to be one flavor of polarity. But that is very interesting. So if this cell I'm in is low, then we start confining 1s all over the place. So if this cell is low, using the diagonal principle, that is a 2. In which case 2 is in one of those cells. And if this is low and a 1, then these cells contain a 0. Which is possible, but interesting. It's reasonably powerful, though. If I could just use this for something else. Maybe I need to figure out more of this path. Grey could be like that, like that, like that, or like that. I cannot see reasons to know which way round that's going. Oh, goodness, I feel actually sort of vaguely close to doing something here, even though I have made no significant move for the longest time. Oh, okay. No, where is 1 in this column? It's not in that bit because of this 1. I don't know. No, it's not interesting. And I really don't know what the right question that would be interesting is, so it's very hard to ask it. Just have to go on thinking about these cells. So those are the same polarity. If that's a 2, that's a 0, then this would be a 1 or a 2. But if that's a 2, we've got 1, 0. This would be 1 or 2. What goes wrong then? Well, maybe I should just give a flash to all of the cells of the same polarity, because I can determine them based on my diagonal hypothesis. All of those cells are 1 polarity, and all of these are the other. Yeah, I mean, that's worth looking at, just seeing if I can find anything. What does it do, though? If that was 0, that would be 0, and one of those two would have to be 0. Well, one of these is 1. Now, one of these is 1 or 0. So in the 2x2s, no, in this 2x2 specifically, because it's all within the same box, the only way you could have a 2 in it is with a 7 and an 8. And that would create a 2, 7, 8 triple in this row and need another low digit, which would have to be a 0 by the quadruple rule. So if 2 is in this row, then 0 is up here somewhere. If 1 is in this row, oh no, the alternative is that 0 is in this row, and then 1 is in this row. And that would at least be an X-wing on 1s, but I don't know how I could ever use that. Ah, goodness. I'm so sorry, I just cannot see how to get this done. I'm still going to look at it for a good long while because it's really interesting, and I suspect it's not as difficult as I'm finding it to make a little bit of progress. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This is, if this is a 1, well, it wouldn't have to be shaded, but I suppose for the quadruple clue it can be. It would be next to digits that it can be next to. That would be high, and we'd know what the highs were. If this is low, it's 0. If it's high, it has to go with a 1, so it's 6, 7, or 8. If this is low, it's 0, and if it's high, it goes with a 0. So any out of 5, 6, 7, or 8. Frustratingly open-ended. 2, 7, 8. If one of these is the 2, 2, 7, 8 triple, and that's the 1, and this is a 2, and we've got a 2 there. This couldn't be a 2. No, specious reasoning. I was thinking 7 and 8 there, but this would have to be 7 or 8. I don't see why it can't be. 2 here would require that to be 7 or 8, and the orange ones would be... Oh, 2 can't be here, because it would be low, and that would have to be low and be another 2. Okay, well that is something. That 2 can't be here. So 2's in one of these 3 cells. But it can still be here, and then it's going to be here. What does that do? Then it can't be... it could never be in row 7, column 1. I cannot... Oh, if that was a 2, this is a 7, 8 pair. Because they're the only digits that are allowed to be next to 2. So if that's a 2, that's a 2, we've got a 7, 8 pair there, and this is a 1. And that, I don't know, it's probably a 6 then. I don't know. Oh, goodness. Maybe I could rule out this from being low at all. I don't see how. I really don't. Help me, someone. There must be a digit around that can't be high. Oh, okay, this one can't be 1, and it can't be 3. If that's low, it's 0 or 2. Now, if it's 0, it forces one of those to be 0, and that will be where's... Oh, this can't be 0, because the only possible low digit for here is 0. So, this can't be 0, 3, or 1. Can it be 2? Then 2 would be down here. Blue would be 2, so that would be a 2. This would be a 0, so that would be 0 around here. I think this would have to be 1. It can't be 3. And that can't be 1 because there's a 1 in one of those cells. Oh my goodness. Hallelujah. I think I'm there. But it's not simple. This digit can't be 1 or 3. If it was low, it's 0 or 2. Now let's just go through this logic. It can't be 0 because that would also be low but would also be 0. If it was 2, we'd have the 2 and the 1 in the row. This can't be 3 because it touches 2 highs, so it would have to be 0. This would have to be 1 because it can't be 3 or 2, and I'm positing a 0 there. Have I failed? Have I failed to prove it? What was I saying? I was saying if this was 2. If this was 2, I thought I'd proved this a moment ago. So, if this is 2, this is 0. This must be 1. Oh, maybe I proved that this couldn't be 2 looking north somehow. But I don't think I did. Maybe I haven't proved it's not low. Well, it's a good thing I checked. So if this is low, it's 2. Can't be 0. We have proved that. Otherwise, it's high. It cannot be... Yeah, it's on the path. It can't be 5. Okay, I'll just demonstrate why it can't be 5. Because it must be touched on 2 sides in this box by different digits. How do I know that? Because if it wasn't, this would have to escape through here, not through there, to keep that non-green. And that's too many around this 3 clues. So, too many greens around the 3 clues. So, that can't be a 5. So it's 2, 6, 7, or 8. If it's 2, that's 0. No, this doesn't work. Why am I struggling with this? If this is 2, it's low, and this is low and 0, and then there's a 1 here. This isn't allowed to be 3 because those would both be 8s. Right, that is not low. Purple is high, so I've got the colours absolutely the wrong way round. Let's make orange into dark blue instead. And let's make light blue into orange instead. And then they represent highs and lows in a scheme I understand. And this is not 0. These are the lows now. Right, I can fill in digits. 2, 1, 0. This one is not 0. This one is not 2. Okay, well finally, this is high, isn't it? 6, 7, or 8. It sees 2 things that see each other. This sees 0 and 3 and is low. That is 1 or 2. Now, 6, 7, 8 there, 6, 7, 8 there. This is also 6, 7, or 8 because it sees 2 digits. So that is a triple. 6, 7, 8, 1. This isn't a 1. What other digits have we got to put in the row? 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 3, 4, or 5. This one can't be 3. Not that useful. 6 here would have to be next to 1 and 0. Right, come on. Come on, we've got something going now. This is 1 or 0. This is 0 or 2. That seems disturbingly familiar from earlier. This is 6, 7, or 8. And we've got these lows translated up here. So this is where, no, this is where 2 could go. It can't be a 3, and now it can't be 1. So it's 0 or 2. This is 0, 1, or 2. This one can't be 3, so that's 0, 1, or 2. This one, could it be 3 with 8s in both those places? I'd better leave it as at least possible. What about the 5, 6, 7, 8s then? This one sees 2 digits, so that's not a 5. This one has 2 neighbours that see each other. That's what I'm trying to say. Not so much that one, this one, yet, until I can fill this in as green. I don't know if I think this is green or not. Maybe it's not. It would be useful if it wasn't. If it was green, it would be another low digit that couldn't be 3 or 2. This would be 1 or 0. This would have to be 3. Right. So if this is green and a whisper cell, this has to be 3 with 8s in those positions. That would be the 0. That would be 2. Wow, I mean, then I'd know that with 8 there, that's 7, that's 8, that's 7. It does quite a lot, but it does do it all. And that's if this is on the path, having to be 1 or 0. We'd also have a 1-0 pair in the row. If it's not on the path, then to get out of this, if that's not on the path, this can't be grey, or we get shut in down here. So that would be green. And the path would go through here, through a 0 or 2 here, And then it could, well, it can't go on through there, so it would have to go up through here. Oh, 2 sitting there has placed 2 around this quadruple clue. That means this isn't 6. It means this isn't 2. It's probably not going to mean anything else. Oh, this is 7 or 8. That's a pair. I could start to colour them, but it doesn't look like it does anything yet. The 7s and 8s. I mean, I'm kind of keeping my colouring mechanism generally for the creek area because I think it's going to be useful overall. Okay, but that was a bit of forward progress. 1 there. What about that? If that was a 2, this would again be a 7-8 pair. And I mean, this just came from spotting that I hadn't fulfilled this 2 clue yet and could. So I just need to keep an eye on all of the clues all of the time and all of the scanning and all of the Sudoku. That's all. Nothing more than that. Ha, he said mordantly. Right, 3 is in one of those cells, but we don't know if it's green or not. We do know that 3 of these are grey, and that seems quite prohibitive. One of these 2 at least is grey, maybe even both of them. If that one is grey, this one is green and is 0 or 1. Yeah, and this would be 3. This would be 8, 0, 7. Oh, you'd also have 8s in both those positions if that's 3. That makes this a 6-7 pair, which forces this to be 1. That's quite interesting. This would have to be, I mean, it does force a lot, right? 3 there makes both of those 8. That makes that a 6-7 pair, which makes that 1. We've got 3, 8 here, 1 here, 0 here, 2 here. So the 6 can't go next to the 2. The 6 would have to go here. I mean, it kind of all gets filled in. I suppose, I don't know, that would end up being a 5-4 pair. 4 would get forced here. It looks like that does happen because it has such interesting ramifications. So maybe I can rule out this being grey. That's so surprising. Right, then the green I worked out would have to escape here and here because this grey would sit like that. Green would escape up here. And this one would be 0 or 2. This one would be a high digit, 6, 7 or 8. I don't know what it means. I mean, it's very close to meaning quite a lot. If that was a 2, this is a 7-8 pair. Then again, we've got all sorts of 7-8 things going on. This is so able to be a 6 that I bet it is. No points for betting? No, probably not. Okay, one of those 2 is a 0. Yeah, that's quite simply interesting on its own. One of them is a 0 because of the clue, so that can't be a 0 because it sees both cells. Now, that is a 1 or a 2, so neither of these high ones is a 5. That is a 6, 7, 8 triple. And we've got a 1, 2 pair. Everything else in the row, in the column, is 0, 3, 4 or 5, including that And this, which I suppose can be a 0. Okay, well, let's think a bit more about if both of those are 8, because that means that if this is 3, both of those are 8, and that means none of these cells can be 8. That is not as helpful. Okay, let's consider these 5 cells. Wherever the 6 is, it's next to 1. Then the other digit becomes the 2, the other blue digit. Or can I rule out this being 0, which is what it would have to be if it was a low digit? Then that would be 1. Oh, one of these is a 2. No, that's not true. One of them might be a 1. Ah. Oh, this is so different. If that is a 3, these have to be 8s. But if it's a 0, well, that could still be a 0, weirdly. And the question mark here, I haven't looked at that in a long, long time. It's either 0 or 1. If it's 1, that's grey. But that doesn't tell me... Okay, the 0 or 1 around this question mark is in one of those cells. If it's 0, it's definitely here. Does that not do anything for me? It doesn't seem to. So maybe the question mark's not the way to go. One of these is grey and one of them is green. It's worth thinking about. If that was green, it would make up a 0, 1, 2 triple. But if that was green, it would make up a 6, 7, 8 triple. Interesting. That seems very, I don't know, unlikely or likely. I can't actually tell. Wow, goodness, this 6, 7, 8 triple. I haven't really used that. This can't be 1, 3, 6, 7, or 8. It's probably 4 or 5 to get it out the way, but I don't know. This is tough stuff. Oh, there's a 1 around there, so that's not a 1. That's pretty straightforward. If I should stop calling it tough stuff when I can do that. Now that can easily be green now with the 0 there. Oh, that's very interesting. Right, this is definitely low. Yes, it's definitely low, because if the question mark here is a 0, then that is green by the rule, by there being 0 greys around here. And then it has to be green, and then it has to be low, 1, 2, or 3. If the question mark round here is a 1, it's this digit that has to be the 1. So this is definitely low. I don't know whether it's green or grey, but it's definitely low. And it can't be 3. It's 1 or 2. Can't be 0 or 3. So that is a 1 or a 2, but it might not form a German whisper connection. But it's definitely low, which is weird. I get to kind of shade a cell blue without knowing whether it's even green. Now, this is very unlikely to be a 3, which would make both of those 8s. The 8 in that box would be here. There'd be an 8 in one of those cells, and one of these 3. This path can't get out through there. If that is green, it's a dead end, and it's a 6, 7, or 8. Then the path has to get out through here, because that would be grey. Now the alternative is that this is green and is 0 or 2. Oh, so the path has to get out through one of those places. If it's here, it's 0. If it's here, it's 0 or 2. Does that do something for me? I'm terrible at these quadruple clues. Like, I've missed that that was a 2 for a while, and there's a 3. Okay, so let's revisit all the quadruple clues. That one's been fulfilled. That one's been fulfilled. We need to put a 3 in one of those cells. That's obvious. We've got the 3 there. We need a 3 in one of those. We need a 0 in one of these. We need a 1 in one of these. That was the one I was missing a moment ago. We need 3 in one of those. 2 is done there. So 0 in one of those. We need a 4 in one of those. A 3 in one of these. We've got these other question marks mocking me. I mean, I don't know what they are. We need a 1 around there. I don't know. That's not doing anything. 6, 7, 8. I mean, this is hard sledding. 2, 7, 8, 1. There's nothing in the whispers to determine those. Definitely. Right, this is going to connect to something else, be it there or there. If it was a 6, it would be connecting with 1 and 2. And one of them's in this column, there obviously. The other one can't be because of the 1-2 pair, so it would have to be a 2 here. That's certainly possible. So we've either got a 0 here or a 2 here. Oh, that's interesting. That's a Y-wing. Is that right? I might not be right about this. So I think what I just said wrong there is this has to connect to there or there. That's okay. If it connects to there, that cell is a 0. It sees 1 and 2 and 3, and it has to be low. If the cell is here, if it gets out this way, then this is 0 or 2, and I think I just said that it had to be 0. And it would be... I'd much rather prove that it definitely wasn't 0. I suppose one of these 3 is 0 by Sudoku. If 0 is in the whisper, it's in the whisper area, it's in one of those 2 cells. If it's there, that's a 2 and that's a 0. If it's there, that's a 1 and that's a 0. Oh my gosh, I cannot see why one is right and one is wrong. So slow on this sort of puzzle. I was going to say that can't be 6, but it can. It could have 0, 6, 1. I hate 0 as a digit. It's just so confusing. Right, if that was 2, this is a 7, 8 pair. It doesn't quite prove that that's 2. Oh, gosh, got to refocus, reset again. Desperately try and come up with some rationale for doing something in the puzzle. This is very tricky, though. Okay, come on. if we can't go through this cell. The path can't requiredly go through this cell because it would be high and it would be 5, but that can't turn. So that can't connect to this. That is non-connection. I'm going to do what Simon would do and put an X there. That is not a connection between the whispers. I mean, I don't know if that is any use for anything. I mean, it was never going to be a connection between whispers because it's in that 3. So it is the most pointless deduction I've ever made. This 3 needs 3 greys around it. If the greys are there. Ah, okay. This cell can't be the one green cell. Or can it? If it was the one green cell, it would be a 5 because it would be high and it would have to touch the cell on its left. If it was the one green cell, it would be a 5. That would be grey. We'd have to come out here through a 0. I suppose we could just link up there later with this. Okay, I couldn't even prove that. That looked like it was absolutely crying out to be demonstrated that this is grey. I couldn't even achieve it. My. This is high. Well, I mean, if this is 3, these have to be 8s. That's huge, surely. Neither of those can be 8s then. And that becomes a 1. Okay, I know I've thought this through before, but I'm not getting... Oh, that can't be 3 because there's a 3 pair sitting there. Okay, well, I mean, it's not going to do anything else for me, but it does fill in a 0. This now, no, it does do something. That's not 0. It's not on the path because it would be low. It is a grey cell. The path has to get out here and here because of this 3. You can't have them there or both of those. So that's green. These are grey. This did do something. The path gets out there. It's taken me a ridiculous length of time. It's just an ordinary pencil mark. Oh, just despair at myself sometimes. Right, this is low and this is high. This is 0 or 2 specifically. This one is high, but interesting. I'm going to say 5, 6, 7 or 8. Whichever one of these is a 2 is completing the 7, 8 pair in this row. So whichever one is a 0 is taking either 6 there or 5 or 6 here. I've suddenly fulfilled this 3 thing. And we've got a 0 in one of those cells. This can't be a 0 because we've got those 2 zeros placed. So the digit there, the question mark, is either a 1, 2, 3 or 4. 0, 6, this is 4 or 5, and these are from 3, 4 and 5 up here in this column. I mean, at least it was progress. Also, that is also from 3, 4 or 5, as is that in row 8, and that's now a pair. That's not a 5, it's part of a 6, 7, 8 triple. And this is low and is 1 or 2, and we've placed 0 in the box. I suppose I could have done that as soon as this was green, but anyway. I will do this at the only pace I can go, unfortunately for you. Now, that's like progress, man. If that was... Ooh, if that was low... It would be 0 or 1. In fact, we've got a 0 looking at that cell. That's a 2. We've got a 0 clue in the quadruple, so that is 0. If this was low, it would be a 1. A very plausible digit. In fact, it is a 1 by Sudoku. 1 there, 1 in one of those. That must be a 1. Don't know if it's on the path, but it's a 1. Probably is on the path, since it's going to have no trouble linking up with these things. Now, 2 here is linking up with 7 and 8. So that's a pair there, and this is a 6. So those aren't 6s. They're a 7-8 pair, probably because that's a 2. One of these is a 6, so that's a 1 in the centre. And now that's 2 at the bottom, that's a 1. Okay, digits. That's 4 or 5. Got a 7-8 pair there. This is 6. Doing nothing else. One of these is 6. The other one is 7 or 8. This one could be anything. 0, 2, 1, 7, 8. These are from 3, 4, 5, 6. One of these is 7 or 8. And it's not in a column with 7 and 8 already in it, so it's in the corner. That one, and this is 3, 4, or 5. So that digit is the same as that digit. Oh, I've put 7 or 8 in the corner because I can't see the given dark black 8. But I've seen it now. 7, 8. That's not 8. We get 7 and 8 over there. We get 7 and 8 here. That gives me 6 and 8 up the middle. Wow. Right. Where are we now? Oh, we're apparently going to be picking up my son, and I will pick up this solve later. Right, well, good news in a way. My son has vacillated and changed his mind and is doing his original plan, and I'm not having to go pick him up yet, although I will have to go in less than an hour. But I thought I'd left myself plenty of time. I'm well over the hour. Anyway, let's put an 8 in one of those cells. I mean, I may be a long way from the finish, although it's nice to have got some progress actually underway in this puzzle. Here we are now. What can we do next? One of those is definitely a 3. This, it could be on the path. No, okay, I mean, it could be a green cell. But it can't actually be useful in the path, because if it's a 5, that can't be another 0. So I'm going to make it grey, and that one, which might again be, no, it can't be a 5 actually, because it can't have a 0 there. Well, this could end up having to go back to being a green cell for some reason. I don't even know how that would be decided, but it's not impossible that it's green at the moment and a 5. But it cannot form part of the path because that wouldn't connect. So it's as good as grey, is what I'm going to say. And it will probably end up being grey and not a 5, but we will see about that. 3 is in one of these cells. Well, does 6, no, this 1 could be green. I just don't know yet, do I? I've got one grey cell here. If that is green, it's got to be 2. And if that is green, it's got to be impossible, because it sees 6, 7, and 8. So that is grey, and that is green, and is 2. Oh, I'm happy. I mean, it's just such a minor thing. It's not on the path. Well, I mean, it's in the creek. It doesn't link to anywhere, but it is green, and it is solved, and I'm happy enough with that. One of these is a 7. This digit, 5, 6, or 7, that can easily be 5 this time. touching 2 zeros and maybe that cell. Oh, but this digit, right. This was going to be 0 or 1. If it's 0, that's green. In which case it does link up to both of those cells. If it's a 1 in this question mark, then that has to be a 1. I don't know, this could still be a bloomin' 0 question mark with that being a green 2. Now this can't be a 0 now or a 1 in the question mark here. So it's at least a 2 and it could be 3 or 4. There are some greys around it, plural, multiple. So what does that mean? Well, this cannot be green because the only digit it could be would be a 3. It sees 0, 1 and 2. Perfect. That is grey. That's one of the at least 2 greys around here. This can't be green because it sees 6, 7 and 8 again and it's touching a 1. This one can't be green either because it's touching a 6. Yes, somehow unshaded cells that are orthogonally adjacent. I'd somehow been imagining a German whisper line that sort of didn't have to connect every cell somehow. Or I don't know. I feel like I've been imagining that. Maybe I haven't, but it feels like I have. Anyway, we've now cut that off and this is green to get out. And this is now a 2 or a 3 in the question mark. If it's a 3, it's not allowed to be in any of those cells by the pencil mark 3s. It would have to be a 3 here. If it's a 2, it would be in one of those cells and that would definitely be a 1. This is definitely green. Okay, I'm going to say 5, 7 or 8, but this is on the escape path. So actually it can't be a 5 because it must see another green digit in one of those cells, which can't be another 0. So that is not a 5, that is 7 or 8. Now, we're getting near box 1 and 4. Oh, there's a 1 in one of those 2 cells. Exciting news. And there's an 8-2 pair. 8 in this row. 8 in one of those, 2 in one of those. Just Sudoku. It's very hard to remember to keep doing Sudoku in a puzzle like this. 7. There's a 7 in one of those 2. 1, I don't know. 0, 6, 1, 8, 2, 7. 3 has to be up. Oh, there's a 7 in one of those 2, so I know what this is. How peculiar. That's become an 8. Which is actually very unhelpful because it can carry on to either of those cells and they could be, well, that could be 2 or 3. In fact, whichever it does carry on to is, oh, that one couldn't be 3. If it carries on to here, that's a 2. If it carries on to here, that could be 2. Oh, no, that's not allowed to be 3 either because of the clue up there. So this 8 carries on to a 2 somewhere in one of those cells. I mean, I'm going to pencil mark that for once. I don't like pencil marking across boxes, but it's quite interesting. That means none of these can be 2 because there must be 1 in one of those cells. Now, I haven't thought about this wretched question mark in a long time. Maybe it's time to do that now. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I still think it could be any digit from 0 to 4 at the moment. Okay, can we insist that green comes out through here? Maybe that's a question. I don't see how. Oh, 2 in this column is in one of those 2 cells. That's going to mess up my pencil marking. Okay, I'm gonna do something else here. Right, I'm just going to red flash those to try and remind myself that 2 is in one of them and is the path continuation. Or both, but at least one of them. There's a 1 in one of those two. That's just Sudoku. As soon as I realise I should stop looking for Sudoku, I can't help it. I just keep looking for it. Now, what is this question mark? Is there any way of knowing? Maybe there's a way of thinking about this 3. If that was grey, for instance, then we have to go through this cell. If we go through this cell, it's a 2. What happens then? Then, oh, what is this question mark? That's the big question. It's not 0 or 1. If it's 2, this cell is a 2, and that is grey. If this is a 2, that is grey. Well, that's not quite necessarily true. That's not quite necessarily true, because this could be a grey 2, and that could be a green something else. If this is green, it's 7 or 5. If it's definitely on the path, it's 7. These are complicated deductions now. So, what I was saying is, if the question mark is a 2, that is a 2. The alternative is that the question mark is a 3, which has to be there, and these would both be grey, and then that would definitely be a 2. But if that is a 2 and the question mark is a 2, that would become a 1, 28013. Ah, if that's a 2, this question mark can't be a 2. This question mark can't be a 0 because the 3 says that at least one of these two is grey. If it's a 1, the 1's in one of those cells, and we got this 3, 1 thing, so both of those would be green. If it's a 2, the 2's over here, and that would stop this being a 2. Then the path would have to come through here and through one of these cells. And because only low digit that the path can come through here is a 2. I don't know if the path comes through here or not. Right, let's start with the idea that this is a green cell. If it's a 2, oh, can this be a 0? All green? No, absolutely not. I think I started with that. Can it be grey? A 4, all grey? Can it? Well, then this would be green. Can this be a 4? That's such a weird question that I wasn't expecting to ask or answer. I suppose it can. Bother. Super bother. Oh my goodness. Math pesto, what are you up to? Okay, let's postulate that this is green and is therefore a 2, and we've got a 1 here. Then this can't be green because there's no low digit that could go there. So this would be a 2, and this would now not be a 2. It would be either a 1, and they would both be green, or a 4. Oh, can they both be green? If that's green, it can't be 1 or 3 And we're saying, well, if that's a 2, that has to be... I don't know. Does it work? I can't see this. This is very difficult to visualize. There is a 0 around here just by Sudoku, but it doesn't mean that we've got a 0. In fact, we don't have a 0 as the question mark. So there's another low digit around here. That's getting interesting. There's another, the question mark low digit is around here as well as 0. 3 is around here. There's only one low digit left available for these 3 cells, which is 1 or 2. So these 3 are 1 or 2 and 2 high value cells, which aren't 8. So we're selecting from, oh, we've got 4 still to go. I'd forgotten 4. Maybe I shouldn't have forgotten 4, which can never be in green. I haven't thought about 4 for a long time. It must be 1, 4 around there. No, okay, 4's no use. Worth remembering 4 every now and then, though. So there's a 0 around here, and the the low digit. Oh no, wait. This could be another 3. That's reasonably likely, and then it just, those 2 have the same pattern as those 2. Oh. Okay, all of my theorizing was rubbish there. But still, I have to get this green path through a 2 in one of those cells. So let's go back to thinking about this being a 2, which actually puts a 2 here. Possibly on the path, possibly not. Well, how does the path get through this row to get down here? It's going to need to either use a 7, not a 5. A 5 won't work because of the lack of zeros available. It's going to either use a 7 in these cells or a 1, not a 3, because 8s aren't available in row 4. In row 3, I mean. So it's going to get through either or both of a 1 and 7 in this row. Either or both of a 1 and 7 in this row. And then it's going to come down to this row. Oh, if that's a 2, this is grey because you can't put a 7 or an 8 there. That's interesting. You can't find your way around through a grey 3 up here. So if that is the path, it must come down to this cell, which must be a 7. Okay, that's interesting. I think that's right. If that's a 2, this is grey, and the path must come through here. Sorry, if this is a 2 on the path, i.e. a green 2. Oh, it's not allowed to do that. Bingo. It's not allowed to do that because of this question mark. And we're speculating. We can't put a 1 on this question mark. If that's a 2, we've got a 1 in one of those cells, and those can't be 1s. Yes, there is no 1 on this question mark. If that is a 2, that's forced to be green by the path, but then that forces the question mark to be a 1 for the quadruple rule, for the number of shaded squares rule. And it is not. We can't put a 1 on it. So that is not the path. This is the path where the 2 goes. Right. This is not. Now, I don't know that this is not a 2, but if it is, it's probably grey. Anyway, the path goes through here and not through here. It doesn't, in fact, this is grey, because if that was green, the whole thing still applies. So that is grey. This is now, well, there's either 3 grey or 2 grey. Have I? Okay, I don't know if I've worked out that this can't be a grey 2. That would be green. What would it be? It would have to be a high digit. It would be a 7. It has to be connected to something. I don't know. Anyway, let's work out where we're going here, because this 2 could connect to a 7 there or a high digit here. Now, if this is green, oh, this is now green. That's definite, because the path has to go through here. So the 3 needs them to be grey. So that's green to get through. That's green to get through. This question mark is now 1 or 2. If it's a 2, it's right there. If it's a 1, it's in one of those cells. Okay, this is a low digit. Let's do that instead. 0 or 1, so it can connect to 2 different digits. This is, oh yes, I should colour. I've forgotten my colouring. These are high. There we go. This is high. I'm not going to allow it to be a 5 because it can't go on to hit another 0. So that is 6 or 7. This one is 7 or 8 because it's touching a 2. Now, 6 or 7 there, can't hit a 0 in either of those cells. So it's going to hit a 1 or a 2 in one of them. Well, it can't hit 2 here. So it could hit 1, or it could hit something here. We need a 3 around there. That's totally uninteresting. We need... We need the question mark digit here. So we either need 3, if that's grey, or 2 definitely there. I don't know. I can't tell whether 2 is definitely there. Okay, come on though. Come on. We're coming down into this box in one of these cells. 2, 2, 2. 1, 1. One of these is a 1. That's weird. I'm doing Sudoku now because, frankly, I find it easier. That's not a 2. 3. We've got a 4 around there somehow as well. 8, 3, 2, 0. I mean, I still don't know. Do I know what this is? No, this is a 0 there or a 1 there. Yet to be determined extraordinarily. 2, 8, 6, 0, 1, 7. This is 4 or 5 by Sudoku. Oh, that's a pair. That's probably been available for a long old time. 6 or 7 there. In fact, these are a 1, 6, 7 triple. So the 4 is part of a 4, 7 pair over this side. Whoa. And that's a 5. And I've got all my 5 4s sorted out suddenly. 5, 4, 5, 4. These can't be 5s, nor can this be a 5. Let's get out the corner mark. Those can't be 4s. That's a 3, 5 pair. 1, 6, 7. That's a 4 just by elimination. Ah, Sudoku. My old friend. I've come to talk with you again. 7, 4, 8, 5, 6, 0. 2 in this column is there, and that therefore is not. So 0 is the... Isn't that fascinating? 0 is the question mark digit because it can't be 2 by the shading, and that means this is green, and therefore 2 does have to connect to that, which has to be a 7. Ah, brilliant. That is now a 6. I thought that was going to really help, and it absolutely didn't. That 4 is grey. 680723. One of these is a 4. Oh, how can we not be near finished now? Blimey O'Reilly. That is a 1-3 pair. I know the order. Right. 8, 3, 1, 2, 7. These are 0, 4, 5, and 6. What's this group? 5 there, flanked by 3 and 7, I reckons. Oh, I mean, I bet this is grey. Oh, yes, these can't be 2s. So we do need a... That is grey, and the number around this question mark is a 3. It doesn't go there because of the 3 up here. So it goes in one of those 2 cells. Ah, I've got a 3 in one of those 2, which is genuine based on that. So the 3 goes here, and that question mark is complete. Now, this question mark is supplying either a 1 or a 2. I don't know the answer. I don't even know how to... Oh, maybe I could look at this cell and say, can it be green? It can't be 1. No, I don't know. I'm not going to answer that question. One of these is a 1. 7, 4, 2, 8, 1, 3. Okay, this row. One of these is a 4. I've seen that about twice and not marked it in. Okay, now, this 6. It either escapes through a 1 here or a 1 here. That is correct. And therefore, this is not a 1, because one of those is a 1. And therefore, the one around this quadruply thing is definitely here. Now, that doesn't make it necessarily green yet, I don't think. Oh, what does the 1 mean? It means 3 of these are green. Oh, that makes this a 0 up there. 0, 6, 1, 7, 2. So if that was green, it would be a 3, but it would be next to a 7. So that one's grey. Interesting. Four, 5, and 7 are the digits remaining to be put into row 4. Oh, and that can't be 5. So we've got... Oh, that is a naked 8. Weirdly. It sees all the other digits. And these ones, 2 or 6 there, 0, 2 or 6 here. Now, how are we going to get through down here? This low, high... Well, we can't come through a 6 there because it's the wrong polarity. Oh, and whichever one of these we're going to come through has to be high and can't be 8 or 7. And it's going to be in a straight line. It's got to be a 6. Whichever one of these we're actually going to use to connect up is a 6. So now I can write in 2 and 0 there. And that's a 6. And it can't be a 6 here to connect up because that won't connect to a 2. So it's a 6 here. And we connect up through here. And those are all green. And that's green. And we've got this 1. Now this, I don't know which one is grey there. But this isn't a 6. 061,872. In fact, we can place 6 in this bottom box. There, that is definitely not green. That can't be green either. 2781. We've got 3, 4, and 5 to go in column 2. That's 3 or 5, which is a pair. I mean, there could still be work to do to finish this off. I really am not sure. Even though the path is almost entirely complete. Now, I've ruled out 1 being up here in this quad, so and 0's not right. So that is a 2. That's how we do it, and that's grey to make the count work. So although it could connect to that, it doesn't. Classic. So that is a 2, and that was a naked, well, it was the last place a 2 could go in the grid, so it was a useless 2, but at least it solves the mystery of the third question mark. Oh my goodness. There's a 1 somewhere. I mean, this is extraordinary. I have basically filled the grid with the path. Now, can the path come down there? This would be a 1. And this would be a 7. And that would be a 2. That seems to work. This could be the sort of puzzle where I can finish the grid finally, and then I can't even tell what the colouring should be. Okay, the 3-5 pair in the top row. 3, 5, 2, 4, 7, 8. 0, 1 and 6. So that's a 1 in the corner, naked. That's then for a 6, and that's the 0. That places 0 in box 6. 7, 0, 8, 4, 2. We've got a 1, definitely there now. A 6, definitely there. And a 3-5 pair in the other cells, yet to be resolved. But a 3-5 pair there makes that 7 or 8, which has to be 7 by Sudoku. And these are from 3, 4, 5. And that can't be 7. So that's 7 by Sudoku. Okay, so just 3s, 4s and 5s to figure out. Come on, Mark. Come on. Ah, this is now no longer a path-worthy cell because it's not a 7. So that is grey. And that means these are green to fulfill the 1 instruction, let's call it. This can't be green. This can't be green next to a 2, and we have coloured the grid. Okay, now it is probably time actually to get rid of all the oranges and blues, because they're just messing up the colours. There we go. That's grey. And now we can just finish off the numbers, he says, as though it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. There's a 3 in one of those, so that's not a 3. Am I still meant to be obeying some sort of quadruple clue? It looks sort of unfinishable at this point to me at first. And I'm sure it's not. It's just the way it looks. Let's just get rid of those corner marks. Ah, there was a 3 around this one. I haven't seen that before. That's going to do it. My goodness, what a puzzle. What fun. What a long old solve, though. I mean, it's so clever. It deserves a lot of time spent on it, but I don't find it easy, I'll say that. I hope that's going to be correct. It is correct. 102 minutes, only a few of which were when I took the, well, I didn't take the phone call, when I texted. My goodness, there's the path. Okay, let's get rid of the unshaded cells. Oh no, they need to be in the color mode. There we go. That is the creek that we found. What an extraordinary puzzle. Thanks, MathPesto. But I hope not to take that long over a puzzle for a little while. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.